Hey guys, what's going on? We're here in this video doing a plus 22 Brackenhide Hollow. Um, we're watching it in 1.5 speed because it took us 30 minutes to do this, so figured why not make the video a bit shorter by speeding it up. Anyways, first I'm going to talk about the affixes and then I'll go over each pull as they happen, hopefully. So the first one is going to be Tyrannical. This buffs bosses, making them deal increased damage and have increased health. Next one is Volcanic, where it will spawn a volcano under your feet, dealing damage and knocking you up. Not such a big deal, but it can be a pain in the butt when you have to get out of uh, uh, a mechanic or something like that. The next one is Sanguine, as you see those puddles on the floor, the blood puddles. Basically, what they'll do is damage you and heal the enemies. So it's more of a tank mechanic. So they're gonna pull them. Hopefully your tank is gonna pull them out. If not, you can knock them out and fear them possibly or anything like that. Anyways, onto the pull. So these small guys, the claw fighter, they are gonna do a fixate. The only way you can cancel that is by stunning them or maybe knocking them up. I don't remember. I don't think knockups quite work for it, but you can just stun them and that'll cancel it. It does hurt. They'll also do a cast called Bloodright, which is a protected cast, and it typically targets the nearest enemy, or I guess one of you guys, and it'll deal a dot and do some damage. I died to it a couple times here, just getting two of them at once, I think. Also, so in this first half, the totems get dropped. You can see it over there by the cage. These ones buff the enemies, so they're not as prioritized, I guess. I would say in these polls. The later ones, I'll explain why they are prioritized. But anyways, so this big guy here that's spinning the Rage Storm, if you have some sort of soothe, so like a rogue can shiv, a druid can soothe, or a hunter can trank shot, or even a dragon can, I think it's a pressing roar. So that'll cancel their Rage Storm. So if you just time it correctly, you can cancel out that mechanic entirely. And then they will cast something called Hideous Howl, I believe, or Hideous Cry, something like that, and that fears the whole group. You want to make sure to interrupt that because that is an interruptible effect. And you should see it come up if we don't kill this too fast. Um, But since there's a bit of downtime, the comps I choose for my groups are typically my tank is a paladin because Grumpy's the one I mostly run with. Uh, Das Poker is always an augmentation. And then typically, I don't usually care what the other DPS is or the healer personally. If it's a priest, that gives me PI and it makes my life easier because I can trust myself to do the damage and some on the pugs, but okay. But this decaying, I think I don't know what it's called, but decaying something. Anyways, he casts something called Withering Bolt or something like that, Withering something. And basically, you want to make sure to interrupt that because it puts a nasty disease on the target. It ramps up in damage over time, and it reduces haste at the exact same time. So it's pretty brutal. You want to make sure to dispel it right away if you can, or interrupt it. The only ones that can dispel it, I believe, are monks, paladins, and maybe priests and evokers. So pretty much all of them. Anyways, on this first boss we're coming up to, this big guy here, Hackclaw, he does a frontal. Make sure you're not standing on your tank. The biggest thing is Gash Tooth. He puts a dot on everybody. Now, as an enhancement shaman, I can use ancestral guidance and keep everybody top to remove the dot, because the dot goes away as if you're above, I think, 90%. It's either 90% or 100, and the dot is basically gone. If you can't get rid of it, then it stays permanently, which sucks. So the next thing is always cast a greater, or always interrupt greater heal that Quick Totem does. Also, he does spawn a totem that will, it'll blind your healer, and then Gash Tooth also blinds your tank. So you have to kill the totem first, and then your healer can dispel your tank, so that way he can get in front of the Savage. Now, during all this, Hackclaw is also going to cast Bladestorm, as you saw like a couple seconds ago, and that is fixated on a target. Don't stand in it. You can't interrupt it or anything. All you can do is run away. That's the best thing you can do. Don't try not to run it into your teammates. They're going to yell at you. I mean, you're bringing a mechanic into your friends. If it's for a funny, go for it. If it's not, try not to. It's pretty funny when you run it into other people and you laugh at them because they're dead. For this pack, there is going to be a Rot Stinger, I think, or Rot Shaman. And there's a Decay Totem right there, the X. You want to kill that as fast as possible because it's going to explode with the Withering Dot. As you can see, it's on the Priest and the Paladin right now. It only has 3 stacks, but it is ramping real quick. Now, if you stay in combat, it'll just keep ramping up until 10 stacks. If you drop combat, I believe it stops ramping, and it'll just cancel out as soon as the duration goes down. An important interrupt here is on the Wither Oak. What he's going to cast is like Necrotic Breath, I believe. Something like that. Yeah, right there, Necrotic Breath. Now, what that is a straight frontal, deals damage over time, does a burst of damage on general, and then it also applies a 25% healing reduction, which is brutal to heal through. Now, during all this time, and it is Sanguine, I guess, so it is Sanguine week, these Wither Barks are a real pain in the butt to get them to move out of crap. So if you can knock something away from him as you're killing it, that'd be best, because he sits there spam casting Lashers and spam casting Stomp. He does not move. It's a real pain in the butt. I think I die here because I pulled aggro because I'm dumb. Or I stood in something. But there's another totem. Oh no, Grump moved on top of me with a Decay Burst. So one of these guys, I think it's the Decay Shaman or whatever, he casts a Decay Burst, basically that puts a circle around the target, and if it goes off, it explodes on the target and anybody around them, dealing massive damage. As you saw, this isn't even Fort Week, and it killed me. Now we are on a 22, which means everything is big percentage increase anyways. But as you can see, we all have 8 stacks or 10 stacks of the Withering. Brutal. But yeah, you can feel the slow, and yeah, as you can see, this guy, he's gonna do a stomp too while he's in that. Trump gets annoyed and he's like, yeah, I'm pulling more, let's go. So we end up having 2 stupid trees still alive by the end of the pull. It's absolutely hilarious because they're just so annoying. But other than that, yeah, these big pulls are huge for anybody with mass AoE because the Lashers just constantly spawn, because everything spawns them. But yeah, the Decaying Roots cast isn't that bad. If you have like a monk or a paladin even, you can just freedom it off. Other than that, you can just knock up the cast or something, stun them. Doesn't really matter. The only thing you really got to worry about is the Stomp the Trees do, the Necrotic Breath, and the Withering Totem the Shamans put out. Those are the utmost priority to kick and kill, because that will wipe pretty quick. Now everything is finally falling. That tree is still standing in Sanguine. As you can see, he's back to full health. Look at him go. He is a man on a mission. I'm pretty sure this is still the first tree from the start. We killed the other guy, but what a real pain in the butt these things are, man. They don't move. Like, when you get units like this on a Sanguine week, it's an absolute nightmare because they just you cannot get them to move, you can't push them, you can't interrupt the protected cast, you can't do nothing. I think Das dies here with a necrotic breath, which oh, yeah, oh, there goes the priest, okay. Oh, priest died, yeah, so, as you can see, it did a lot of damage. These little lashers also put a bleed on you, so be careful. It has a melee, it's very tough to dodge. You want to make sure your tank tries to hit them first. But these things take forever to kill just because one, they don't move, two, they're spawning lashers constantly, and they just have a massive health pool. Real pain in the butt. But anyways, on to Big Tree Mouth. Now this guy doesn't really do a lot. The first thing is going to be his Tank Buster, which is a frontal. It's a massive whip that'll go really far, as you can see. He aims it away from the group. Very important. Generally, you want to aim at a boss always away from the group. Decay Spray. This spawns ads that will cast a AoE. If that AoE goes off, it does do quite a lot of damage. So you can just knock him up or kill him real fast. Doesn't matter. Next part is this Consume. So as long as somebody's in the circle to get eat, uh, he won't become enraged. But if somebody does get eaten, he gains a shield. You have to break through that shield before the target dies, which generally is the tank. But the tank can only get every other one. As you'll see, I'll soak the next one. But yeah, he'll get a shield. The faster you break the shield, the faster the person gets out, the less damage it does. If, as you can see, just instantly broke there. um, if nobody gets eaten, uh, he gains enraged, which I don't remember what the yeah, you saw those casts go off and we all went down to half health. Yeah, they can go off pretty quick. Anyways, the enrage is I think a 50% haste buff and a 50% damage buff. I don't remember. But yeah, it's pretty bad. On to the next guy that everybody hates because he's annoying. Stink Breath. He's gonna use his Stink Breath on you. It is a cone that I actually am unsure if you can max range it or not. I've never tested that. But anyways, if it targets you, move away from your friends because it disorients you and does quite a bit of damage. In this whirl, you can literally stand on the edge of it, not get hit, and still attack them. So just find that sweet spot and it's easy. And on this skip, hug the right side. There are two stealthies to the left there, right after the bridge. If you pull those, they pull everything in that little ravine. And it sucks. But on to this next part, skip that guy because he's a pain in the butt. Does a massive AoE. Nobody wants to fight that. This bear and two birdies. The bear is just a tank buster. The two birdies cast Screech, which I believe silence. I haven't let them off, so I don't quite know. I think it's a silence of big damage. Could just be like the ones in Underrot. But other than that, yeah, they drop Sanguine because they're a real pain in the butt. Onto Gutshot. I learned a very important thing on this. I think his Gutshot, which is the tank buster, is a frontal. Now I say that because I always thought it was targeted specifically on the tank. Now it is. But I think no matter yeah, okay, I didn't die there, but I think it hits him and anybody in between. Anyways, you want to drop these traps around the room and you want to kite those hyenas through them because they will die over time in those traps or from your rot cleave, but it just prevents them from hitting anybody because their bites are nasty. It does a massive dot. Pardon me. And it also reduces healing by 25%, which is a pretty big hit for the healer to get through. But I'm pretty sure I die in one, and there's a yeah. Wait, what? Gutshot 5 seconds ago. He threw meat at me and it killed me. That's weird. Okay, I died to something totally different, I guess. Um. Anyways, he's pretty simple as long as you keep the hyenas trapped. For this pull, you pull all the little guys. This filth caller, he'll cast Decay Senses. Just knock him up or stun him. I don't know what he died to. Anyways, the Rot Surge, I think it's called. Basically, it puts swirlies on the ground. Just run out of them. If you can interrupt it, great. If not, he's gonna sit there and cast it for an hour. So here is an interesting thing that happened. We were doing this skip like any other time, and somehow I pulled those 3 guys. I have no idea how, but it happened. I'm not sure. Yeah, I pulled. I I have no idea. I did it just like any other time, and it pulled. Anyways, we recover, thankfully, and somehow those things pulled too. Um, but yeah, these things cast Rotting Surge and Decay Surge. Just interrupt and knock up. No, they do hurt. Other than that, those pull just 2 War Scourges. Soothe them, interrupt or howl. Easy. Rage Storm. That's what you see. Oh my god, he healed so. No, he didn't. Okay, I just switched targets. But yeah, you saw interrupt. Easy. Most of these mobs, as long as you interrupt or shoot them, they're pretty simple. There's not much to them. Uh, yeah, another filth caller. All these small guys, they'll do the blood right too. So just be careful. That's the bleed thing that'll just hit anybody. And I think we pull the Hex Surge guy or everything else. Yeah, Vile Rot Hexer. This is another guy. He puts out, I believe it's Vile Contamination or Writhing Contamination. I don't know, Withering Contamination, something. Anyways, it's a disease. It puts a circle around you. If you touch your friends with it, it'll spread to them, increasing stacks and damage. So, again, don't run it into your friends unless you're looking to do a funny. That's okay. If you're wiping them on purpose just because you're salty, well, I hope it's a good reason to be salty. Anyways, we're gonna kill this guy and go on to the boss. This guy's a pain in the butt. He's been nerfed several times, and you can still wipe to him pretty easily. Basically what happens is he does this, choking rot cloud. That puts down a tornado. If you stand in it, you gain stacks. Those stacks will come into later on. This rot burst totem, excuse me, it will put out an AoE explosion that'll put the dot on everybody. That, I believe, reduces your damage dealt by 5%, increases damage taken by 5%, and puts a dot on you. It's not very fun to deal with. Then he's also gonna bust the tank with decay strikes or something, puts a heal absorb on him. And then he's gonna cast something. Wait until he casts it to say, because I don't remember what it's called. Another totem, and then he does, here comes the cast. Decaying Strength. Basically, he's gonna absorb every stack on you and increases damage dealt. So it gets pretty nasty if it gets too high. And I believe if you let the decaying strikes on the tank stay, it gives them 4 stacks of it or something like that. But as you can see, we're all getting beat up from that one totem that went off. Pretty brutal. This paladin's actually doing a bang up job healing us. Pretty crazy. But yeah, at the end we have another one go off, I believe too, but that one got really close. It's really hard to kill those when you have an augmentation in your group, even though he is buffing you and helping a little bit. I think just his damage is so different to what it could be just having a regular one that it does hurt on the totems. But they are really good to have in the group overall. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the dungeon. Um Again, I'm doing these to help those struggling with keys and hopefully make people better players. If you have a dungeon in mind that you want explained, let me know. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed the video and thanks for watching.